Safari Rally is the biggest challenge of the year, with plenty of hazards to catch out the unwary or unprepared driver. This is George's guide to Safari Rally Jeopardy. So here we have a lovely, fast flowing section up a hill, up the escarpment. It's going to climb quite a long way through this stage. We've got a lovely fast section up to a fast leftover crest. The cars would lift for it because it's narrow and it's bumpy. But just before that, 50 metres before it, there's just this little innocent wee dip. And you can see it's a wee bit rutted. You think it's just rust, but it's not. Fesh, look at that. It's wicked. And it feels like it's very solid underneath. This will dig out unbelievably well. Already with the Land Cruiser we came through here, we took a bottom out. This is harsh. Looks like nothing. After 3 or 4 cars, it will dig out. It's places like this that actually get rally cars stuck, but they also just completely wipe the bottom clean off the car. Such a mess, such an innocent place. This is Safari. So, lovely fast section down here, down to a hairpin right. And wow, we're coming to what looks like a fesh field, soft dust that could be very, very deep. Let's see what it's like. This is a pretty tight hairpin. There are mounds of fesh. Oh my God, it's a metre deep. Oh, the front of the car's damn near down into it. Can I make the hairpin? I can't see because of the dust. Oh my God, there we go. Crikey, I'm gonna have to wait. There we go. Just a second and that does it. And my God, we're around. And if you came round this a little bit too quickly, look at all the rocks at the side of the road. Disaster. You have to be super careful. Take a wheel off the car, certainly puncture a tyre. Tyre has no chance in there. Well, that's surely. Colin, that mud that we're looking at, that rained here 24 hours ago, it is drying out, but still, that mud is nearly half a metre deep. It will weigh a ton, an absolute ton. You don't want that on your car, but if you get in there, it grabs the car and sticks it.
It's like glue.
It's like glue. Yeah. Now this is a short one. These could be hundreds of metres long. So what do you do?
What do you do? But here is the question. If you look behind us, Eric cameraman, they've just come out of a 90 right. Now, as you can see, the line takes them a slight right along here and then another slight right. But if you're brave, George, yes, and if you know that this mud is dried out, you potentially, while others are taking 3rd, 4th gear, you could be in 6th gear and straight off down that road. Is that a safari-style gamble? And might we see these things happening? What would you make? Maybe a second and a half if you're lucky. But if you get it wrong and you get sucked in and stuck in, stuff could be game all over.
Colin, I mean, it's such an interesting topic. This, as you say, you get a kick off that first mud hole. The car lifts up and you slow down. You come to the second one and in you go, and that's you finished. So you just need to know the condition of it. At the moment, a rally car would just go straight across the top of that, not a problem. But if it got stuck, it would stay.
Well, don't those mud holes look interesting? Do you know what George was telling me a minute ago? I'm going to tell his story for him. When he was here with Toyota way back in the day, 12 mud crews, they called them, to spot where the mud was. I suppose, George, you tell me, spot where it was too deep.
We would know where mud might gather, where there would be a recognised mud hole. And these mud holes might be a kilometre long. Right. And there'd be one part worse than another. We'd put a mud cart at the end of that mud hole. Wow. So if a car got stuck in it, they could come in already tied up with tow ropes and they would pull the cars through. So potentially, let's wait and see what the weather does. There could be problems with mud, but have a look at this. Look, this is typical of this kind of stage. Long, flat out, fast straights. And then, as it comes past George and I, it's a K left. It's a relatively slow K left. George, the flat out, close on 200 kph. How much do they have to lose for this corner? Well, look, the stones on the inside.
And trees on the outside.
And trees on the outside, a bump. It narrows right down. You'll be coming down to 60, 70 kph for this corner.
No.
Yes.
Really as slow as that?
Yeah, just to be sure to get the entry.
So there you go. So, it's dry. They've done the recce. They'll know where their braking point is. And their braking point could be 60, 70, 80 metres up there, say, George. Now, if this weather comes, how much further back do you have to go? Even just the lightest amount of rain, Colin, and as soon as this road is just lightly wet. It's kind of fesh,
yeah, it is. Oh, it is. It's all fesh, Colin. Yeah. As soon as this gets slightly wet, it is like wet ice. Wow. So they would be braking for this corner back at that tree. Because literally they will be doing somewhere between 150 and 180 kph coming past that tree normally, they would, if they started there, they'll still maybe go 150, 200 metres down there.
Past our Land Cruiser,
way past our Land
straight
Cruiser,
on.
straight on down, just, I mean, past those trees. It is incredibly icy. It's beyond explanation.
And these things they have to bear in mind, because there is always the chance of rain coming here. Now, you get it wrong here, it is literally an overshoot. There's not so much jeopardy in this one, it's purely time loss. But there are many corners like this, there are many straights like this. There ain't so many runoffs like that. Quite often, it's trees, it's rocks, there's a lot of hidden, and I'm going to use that word again, jeopardy. George, we're in the last 2 kilometres of the Sleeping Warrior. This is where it gets really juicy and really interesting. This surface, tell us about this. It's unusual because there's only 1.5 kilometres, 2 kilometres of it.
It's just a little lava outflow that came here about 150 years ago. It's just pumice and basaltic rock, and you can see the rock drying all around the plains around us.
You see this here, it's relatively
massive flows.
Geologically. Look, I'm using new words. I don't think I've used geological before in a rally programme, but you can see it's relatively new, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And there are very narrow sections in here as well, Colin. And these rocks are heavy, solid, but there's a lot of loose rocks on the top, making it very, very difficult for a car to maintain its line at speed. So they have to kind of pick their way through here.
Look at these rocks here. Okay, that's in the middle, but look at that. Look at that. That's polished because someone's hit that already with a sump guard. That won't do it. That'll scratch it. But some of these bigger ones, George, look at this. You know, you're coming down here.
That's a puncture.
It is a puncture. That will puncture the tyre if you hit it. Well, if you hit it straight on, it's probably the best way. If you hit it on the side, it could damage the suspension. You've got to be so neat and tidy, and in some ways you have to absolutely manage your drive through this rock garden, George. Yes, it must feel as if you're going ridiculously slowly, but you know the difference, I talked about it earlier on, 10, 15, 20 kilometres an hour makes could be catastrophic, to use one of your words.
It could be, Colin, and you know, last year I was surprised that the drivers came through here just as quickly as they did. And you know, in Terry Neuville's case, he flew through here, but maybe he paid the penalty the next day.
Maybe he did.
And that's what you've got to think about.
Yes, you might lose by picking your way through this rock garden 3, 4, 5 seconds. But as Neuville found out last year, or Neuville as George calls him, potentially there's a lot more to lose if you don't respect the lava flow of the rock garden.
As you're coming into this fumarole, this rock outcrop, across the last of those plains, the road starts to become wider, and there's a choice where to go, Colin. And then all of a sudden you come up to the edge of this little escarpment and the road narrows down. Negative camber.
Look at this.
Very bumpy, very bumpy, Colin.
What do you call this, George? This is almost a...
Those are ruts, Colin. Ruts and negative camber ruts on a slope. We're driving down the side of a slope.
And what do you do? I mean, there's a choice here, George.
I think you go high and flat through it, but if you catch a bump, Colin, it's going to kick you out. What happens then?
Come and have a look at this. Come and have a look at this. Hidden behind this bush, you elect to take 10 k's, 15 k's more, and it knocks you slightly to the right. You don't think there's anything here, but hidden behind this bush, look at this, an enormous rock. Do you know what? That was bird poo. I thought someone had scuffed it. But look at these rocks. These are the kind of decisions that the drivers are going to have to make in this stage. There's decisions to be made potentially should the weather come, with water holes, with mud holes, with potential lines, with slipperiness. But perhaps more pertinently, once we get into this rougher, tougher stuff, what do you do? Flat out, or do you use the brain?
The brain every time, Colin.
Every time on the safari.